Hi everyone. So today I'm gonna carry on with basically the whole series I had where I made this where I solved an interesting math question that I found. Today I'm gonna solve more questions of the sort on a topic of absolute values and like inequalities, etc. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So first off, हमारी assignment में दिखाता हूँ कौन सी. इस assignment में we have been told to sketch the graph of y is equal to 4x minus 2 but with the modulus operators. Alright, ये modulus operator, ये modulus operator. They indicate us the absolute value of 4x minus 2. Sorry, again. Of the function 4x minus 2. Alright, and that's a very important point considering what I'm going to ask you guys to do and how we're going to graph this thing. Alright, that makes a big difference. It's not the negative, it is the positive, but I wouldn't like to say that it's like just converting the negative into positive. I think the better way of saying it is like it gives us a raw numerical value. मतलब कि like अगर आपको 3 steps move करना है, it doesn't matter in the left or right direction, right? But you just have to move 3 steps. The absolute value tells us how many steps you have to move in general. Alright, it doesn't care about the direction. If that example helped, that example makes sense. Alright, so without further ado, let me show you guys how the graph is supposed to be done. And notice that this question is for 1 mark. Alright, but yeah, 1 mark will make these 4 marks so much easier. Alright, so without further ado, let's do the process. Alright, so my first question to you guys is gonna be, at what value of x is this going to be 0? ये पूरा जो function है, this whole thing, or basically y, at what point of y, actually better question, at what point of y will it be the lowest value of y? Like मतलब कम से कम कौन सी वैल्यू हो सकती है y की, like the minimum bare minimum value of y, right? Or the bare minimum value of 4x minus 2 की bare minimum value. Think about it for a second. Alright, as you may have probably guessed by now, I guess the value is 0, right? The minimum value this can become is 0, because like if you plug in anything, x equal to minus 1, x equal to minus 2, x equal to minus 10, then what's gonna happen is 4 into minus 1 minus 2 के absolute value ढूंढेंगे, that will give us 6. 4 into minus 10 minus 2, for example, that will give us 42. Do you see that? Because of the absolute value operators over here, because of the modulus operator, sorry, this will give us only a positive number, which is why when everything is positive, what is the smallest positive number you can get? That is basically, what is the smallest natural number you can get? अगर natural भी नहीं है, मतलब कि like what is the biggest non-negative value you can get? I mean biggest क्या no, sorry, so smallest value you can get, that is going to be 0, right? Smallest possible value you can get. And when does this thing become 0? When does this thing become 0? It becomes 0 at x is equal to, let's solve this, alright? 4x minus 2 is equal to 0. 4x is equal to 2. X is equal to 1 by 2. अगर हम simplify करें 2 by 4 को. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. So based on that, how should we label our graph? And another thing, the lowest or the highest value in a graph is always the turning point of the graph. Alright, so I hope that makes sense. The lowest or highest point in a graph is always its turning point. Because after you hit rock bottom, right? Like in life, like same thing in graphs. After you hit rock bottom, can only go up from here, right? Like if you were to hit rock bottom, sorry, then the only place you can go from here is up. And if you're about to, and if you're going down, the lowest you can get is rock bottom, right? And then from there you can go up constantly. And over here, like if you keep on just increasing, getting better and better and better in life, though, you'll reach a peak, and then after that you'll have a downfall, and then you'll have a comeback and event arc. Okay, that was stupid Gen Z stuff, but yeah, you get what I'm trying to say, right? Like at the turning point or the lowest or highest point, that is the turning point. From there, you can like either increase or you can decrease. If you're increasing at the turning point, then you can decrease at the then you will decrease following the turning point, right? And if you're gonna decrease, if you're decreasing and then you reach the turning point, you're gonna increase. So yeah, that's what the whole point of the turning point is, if that makes sense. And the turning point is always gonna be like the lowest or the highest. If it's at the highest, then you're gonna decrease from there, obviously, and if you're at the lowest, then you're gonna increase from there. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. So chaliye, without further ado, let me get started with like labeling the graph. So we know that the lowest value of y is equal to 0, and this is at x is equal to 1 by 2. So this acts as the turning point. Alright, and I'll show you visually exactly how that acts as the turning point, like if it makes visual sense. And since we know that the graph has its turning point at 1 by 2, I am going to write this as the x-axis in like fractions: 1 by 2, 1, 3 by 2, 2, 5 by 2, and yeah, I hope you get the point after this. And for these I'm just gonna use whole numbers, because like यहाँ पे तो कोई fraction नहीं बन रही, right? Like मतलब कि fraction बन सकती है obviously, but like the one number we're working with, so like if we have 4, 3 by 2 minus 2, it's not going to equate a fraction, right? So like it's a more optimal option to like इसको fraction मत बनाओ. Anyways, 4, 5, alright? So yeah, that is that. Minus 1 by 2. Let me fill the axes out over here. The x-axis out over here. Minus 3 by 2. Minus 2 minus 5 by 2. Boom. And the lowest point the graph can go is 0. So yeah. And at 4 into 1 minus 2, it's going to equal to 2. And at 4 minus 2 in 4 into 2 minus 2, it's going to equal to 4. Let me erase this. So 8 doesn't really make sense. Weird. Alright. 4 into 2 minus 2. That is 8 minus 2. 8 minus 2 is 6. Sorry. Yeah, say stupid mistakes बहुत ही होते हैं, and I think I'm not alone when I say that. So stupid mistakes बहुत ही students की हो जाती है. Alright, so since वो value हमारे graph पे fit नहीं हो रही, I'm going to use 3 by 2. 4 into 3 by 2 minus 2. Alright, so yeah, that is that. 2 into 3 वो हमको 4 दे देता है. And another thing. Alright, so after the turning point, any value, right, like 4 into minus 1 minus 2, that is going to give us 6, right? Minus 6, which is going to give us 6. And so yeah, let's do that, and I'll show you an interesting pattern. Wait, hold up, I made a mistake. Alright, these stupid mistakes that I make, I'm pretty sure a lot of other students also make them, so please guys be careful, don't make the mistakes I make. Alright, anyways, minus 1. Now that equals to 6, and 6 is out of our range, right? Or the values we have taken for the y-axis. So let me scale it down a little bit to show you guys exactly what I mean. Equal to 4, which if you see, it is symmetric about this line if you think about it, right? Alright, it is symmetric. यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक symmetry बन जाती है इस line के through. And another point, when does this thing equal to 2? Alright, another point where it equals to 2. 4x minus 2, it is equal to 2 over here, so that is 1 point. That makes obvious sense, x equal to 1. And another point where it makes sense is when x is equal to 0. Why would it make sense here? Now in a traditional sense, when it is just 4x minus 2, it wouldn't make sense. X equal to 0, that goes minus 2. But in this case, we're dealing with the absolute value. Alright, so if I were to substitute 0 in here, this would give us 2 if you think about it. Alright, so yeah, so what I'm trying to say is, why does this form a mirror image around this? Because this is the turning point, right? Turning point से लेके फिर ऊपर और पीछे जितना होते हो, that is going to be symmetric around the turning point, because only thing you're doing is changing direction. The rise over run still remains the same on whichever side you are of the turning point. The only thing that's changing is the direction with which you're going. Alright, so I hope that makes sense, and I think that does our graph. Let me just clear everything out and connect the lines. That is our turning point at 1 by 2. So yeah, after successfully drawn the graph of y is equal to 4x plus 2. So let's get on with the rest of the problem then. You can take a little break.